I think I was at like Days on the Lawn or something like that, and they were taking us around to all the different dorms, and I didn't like old dorms at all, and I didn't really like new dorms, although they looked nice. And when we went to Brown, there were people out here on the Gilder Green playing like frisbee and giving each other a hard time and having fun. There might have been like a trampoline there at some point, I don't know, but it just really looked really fun to me. It was different than the rest of the dorms because there were actually people out there being a community and having fun together. So I was like, I want to be a part of that.
I heard about Brown before I came to UVA. Actually, it was one of the first things that I knew. One of my friends from high school, he lived in like Gooch Dillard his first year, so when he was showing me around grounds, he pointed at Brown. He was like, "That's where I'm gonna live next year. It's way closer to everything." So definitely a great place to live.
A similar experience where I thought about applying my first year, but I decided that I wanted kind of a more typical first year experience, like where you have all the people on one hall, and it was kind of fun, but part of me feels like I would have enjoyed Brown a lot more. But I will say, because I didn't live in Brown my first year, I really appreciated it more. So we both ended up living here for 3 years, and I feel like that first year really showed me what it could be, or what it wasn't, and then when we came to Brown, it's what it could have been. So
looking at the class of 2019 page when I was still in high school, and I saw someone post, isn't Brown where all the weird kids live? And I was like, maybe I should live there, because I was like not excited to go to UVA, but I saw that and like no regrets. So yeah. I actually met Shannon in one of my classes, and I was wondering, I asked her where she lived, and she said she lived in Brown College, and I didn't really know that Brown College was like an option. I lived over in them there hills in Gooch Dillard, yeah. And I decided to apply for Brown College. I really liked the application questions. That's what really made me like pursue applying to Brown, and yeah, no regrets.
I thought about applying to Brown first when I kind of read about it online, I think, and then I was at Days on the Lawn and I was learning about it, and I took a room tour and everything. And it just seemed like such a cool concept to me to have like students of all 4 years living together in all different majors. And it seemed a lot more appealing than like your typical hall style like first year dorm. And it just seemed like a lot more of a community that I could be a part of. And then I read the application, and it has all of these like absurd questions that you have to answer, and I was like, yes, this is the kind of place that I want to live in. So that's how I chose.
I had always wanted to go to like a small school, like liberal arts, up in northeastern United States. And but I ended up going to UVA, and I was on my Doodle tour, and my parents both went here for grad school, and so they were like, you go on the tour, we've seen it already, we're going to go to lunch. And so after my tour, they were walking around and bumped into a bunch of tablers at the Whispering Wall for Brown College, and they started talking to them, and then like at the end of my Doodle tour, they were like, I think we should check this out, I think you'd like it a lot. And so Alex Aberman, who was Poobah at the time, took me on a tour of Jay Furman and Brian Walters' rooms in McGuffey. And so the first thing I saw inside Brown was the McGuffey beam face. And I kind of looked around and I was like, yeah, I think I can do this. So I ended up like, getting really excited about it. They gave me like a little like handout, and I kept it on the way home, and I remember reading it all the way like back to Northern Virginia, and like I had been really sulky and upset up until that point because I didn't want to go here. But after seeing Brown, I got really excited to go to college, and I kept telling all of my friends at school about it, and then I got in, and so I would not stop talking about Brown that summer. Yeah.
Like, now that I think about it, like, I didn't really like UVA when I visited. I was like,
it's so preppy. This is so much. And then like I got into a brown, and then I really realized how much like the people genuinely care about each other. And I was like, this is where I want to be, and I love it. And the people were all super sweet. And despite the fact that I got into Brian's room, and we all Ben knew that story, but like it was a mess basically. And I was like, yes, this is where I belong. Like I relate. But that's just me. I really just came for the people because, I don't know, the people are what make Brown College great to me. But.
I had a very similar story. I didn't know that much about UVA, to be honest, other than it was the school that my brothers went to, so why not, when I got in, go to UVA. I had a good program that I was looking for, but I was kind of worried that I'd get there and no one would have the same interests as me, or I'd have a harder time making like close friends. And then I got the Brown College spiel from also Brian Walter. And he told us a little bit about the application, and it sounded like something I would enjoy like filling out and doing, so I did it, and then I got in. And when I got in and met the people here, they were all really welcoming and really went out of their way to try to make me feel like Brown was my home. So the reason why I like chose Brown and the reason why I stayed was really because I had met so many people that I connected with here.
I did cultural potluck this year, and I really want it to be a thing, so I hope in the future it continues because it's very fun, lots of very tasty food. Everyone who came had a very tasty time and then had a food coma afterwards, so I hope it continues.
I guess for me, the thing I started was this year, or this past semester, doing semi-formal at Doma, or no, Kuma. I don't know why. Yeah, it was really great and very inexpensive. They had karaoke machine, which was a lot of people loved that. People had a lot of fun with that. That was a really good time.
Which was in 2016, Camp Stabbin' in the Woods. I just showed up. I didn't sign up for anything because I was not sure really how. So I just showed up on the hill when it was time to go and was like, can I be in a room? And so I think Brian Walter just was like, yeah, and just put me in his room. And all I remember is he had a shaved head at the time. And he was in, it was like 40 degrees outside. He was in we were the lake room. He was in a pool of like this bathtub kind of filled with water. It was 40 degrees outside, and he would go in it, fully submerge himself, and then jump out to scare people. And I think he had like hypothermia or something for like a week afterwards. But that was my first experience of hauntings, and it was pretty good because I was just under like a mat of like leaves to hide in with the scenery, and then I would spray people with water.
Yeah, my first hauntings, I was doing Rocky Horror at the time, and then while that was happening, I entirely lost my voice, and I was only able to be at hauntings for like a few hours, which was nicely just in time for the alumni to come through and do their thing.
Hauntings is really cool because it is really a lot of people coming together to make something happen. I think I did a lot with it my second year mostly, and then some third year, but personally I think Build Week is fun, just like getting out there on the hill and like putting stuff together. It's really satisfying for me at least, to feel like I'm making something happen. And then of course everyone comes out for hauntings and shows up, and then like even if they don't know how much hard work has been put into building the thing and organizing and getting all the stuff, they're like, yeah, I'll be in a room, I'll be scared for a night. Just fun.
Into the year has been really interesting. My first year, my friend Ricardo had a room. He was a room leader, and so of course I participated in his room. His room was really something first year, I remember. It was like such a great time because we actually scared people. Like, I was dressed up as this little girl in scrubs, and I was in my head was in Chad Cannon's lap, and he was pretending to like cut my stomach open and things would spill from me, and I would just be screaming for my life. And so when the people entered the room, they would see me first, and so then like like after I did the scream, Ricardo would jump out from behind the curtain wearing this pig mask, and he really scared people. We got people good.
Balls to the walls.
Balls to the
So
wall.
Jesse Ginn, he was in our year. I think he's studying abroad now in like Italy, but he was a Portal rep, and he was like, I want to do this event called Balls to the Walls. So we had a bunch of balls and balloons in Tucker Lounge, and we cooked a live lobster and ate it, and we were all in formal wear, like all prom dresses and stuff, just playing like shitty Rager music, and it was great and awful at the same
The tonal
time.
shift was incredible.
And I was
'cause
like,
it was
what is happening? I love it. This makes no sense. Like,
low lighting, everyone was in like prom gear, there were
and like
balls.
tuxes.
Yeah, there were balls on the floor that people were throwing around. There was a lobster,
Yeah.
and then there was like rave music. So no one really knew what was going on, but we were all.
It was so
having, like,
much
a time.
fun.
In my first year, I was a part of the lion dance club. Not like lion dance, but like lion dance, like Chinese lion dance. But like I met one of my friends there, Shannon, who it turns out was a Brown resident as well. So we started walking back and forth to practice and Brown with each other, and we became friends. And one day she's like, I want to start this thing. This like art club that will be like casual and people can just show up as they come. And like some of my favorite memories, I guess, in Brown have been like with the art club and like just hanging out, doing art, and then talking with each other.
It was right before the end of spring break, and I decided to make fajitas in the cast iron skillet. So I preheated this cast iron skillet, which you gotta preheat to get it all hot, and I got all my fajita vegetables ready, and I had a big old bowl, and then I put the oil in, and the oil started smoking, and I had the vent on, but the fire alarm went off immediately. So, like a responsible cook, I put the lid back on the skillet and turned off the heat and watched it to make sure nothing caught on fire, because nothing did catch on fire. It was just smoking oil. After like 10 minutes, it had cooled down, it was fine. And so I took the lid back off, and I went and rinsed the pan, and I turned the heat back on, and I started cooking my fajitas. And the fire alarm was still going off. So then the firefighters came in, and they were like, why? I was like, okay, don't worry about it, I'm just making fajitas, it's just smoke. And they were like, you can't be in here, the fire alarm is going off, you can't be in the building. And I said like, well, you know, I set it off, and I know it's not a real fire. And they were like, what if there was another fire in a different part of the building? So they made me cover up my pan, turn off the heat, and go stand outside for about 3 minutes when they walked over to the box and turned off the alarm before they let me back in the building. And then I finished making my fajitas.
When my parents dropped me off at the beginning of the year, since it was my final year at Brown, and you know how like the firefighters kind of stand along the road around the road at the beginning of the school year, and they hold up like their boots for like donations. My dad rolled down the window, and he gave a little bit extra, and he said, "My daughter lives in Brown College. You must visit her a lot." I was so embarrassed.
I would say there was never a single defining moment. It was just a lot of little, like, small ones along the way, just little interactions with people coming in to check on me and things like that. I don't know, just recently I was very sick the other night, and I had to ask some of my friends to come, like, open a bottle of orange juice for me because I was too weak to get it open myself. So it's just the little things like that. People genuinely do care about the other people that live here, and they'll go out of their way to help them, even with the stupidest little things.
Experience afterwards.
It was after second year, like after I had moved out. Second year was, like we said, that was both mine and Gabby's first year in Brown. So that was like the best year ever. Like that was so much fun. I met some really incredible people that became my best friends. And after I'd moved out at the end of second year, like a lot of my friends were staying for graduation, and some friends were graduating. So I was just like at home back in Nova, just like existing and being sad. And yeah, and a lot of friends are like still around here in Brown, like hanging out a lot and having a lot of fun. And I just felt like such FOMO. So I think it was like Margaret.
FOMO?
Yeah, the FOMO was horrible. So I think I was like texting on group chat, and my friend Marge was like, "You got a car? Like, just come down here." And so I was like, "Wait a second, you're right." Like,
There's nothing stopping me.
There's nothing stopping me. And so I literally just like told my parents, I was like, "So I'm gonna go back to UVA for the weekend." And I just like packed up my car that day, and I just like left.
I think one of the first or second days after I moved in, I was very shy. I was like, I don't know anyone here. I'm very scared. And I think I was just sitting in Tucker Lounge, and then I think Kate Schaefer, our grand poobah, pulled me out and was like, "Hey, do you want to come hang out with Brian and Oliver?" And I was like, "I don't know who that is, but okay." And so just the fact that she invited me to something was very like inclusive and welcoming to me, and made me feel like anyone will just like be okay to do whatever.
I think honestly, like day one, week one, I mean, they just threw you into things immediately, and like I found friends. My great roommate Andrea Katabi. Ever since like meeting her and getting to know her, like I don't know. I think she's kind of become my home, and all the other friends I've made here have become my home. To be honest, it's gonna be so hard to leave.
One of the moments that really made me sure that I belonged in Brown was my first Brownsgiving, because I came to UVA from the West Coast. I didn't know a single person, and so like through my first year, it was really great for me to kind of make these friends and have these people that I could rely on. And then Brownsgiving just kind of solidified that, because people in Brown just made it into like such a big involved holiday, and the kitchen was full for like 2 days nonstop because everyone was cooking and people would bring these dishes. I would say like don't be discouraged if you don't feel like you fit in here immediately, because personally it took me a couple years to be really comfortable around the people that I would count as friends today. So have faith in the process, you know, as long as you're putting yourself out there, you will find people who like what you like and who enjoy your company. So don't worry.
I think like the first night that I came, I mean, I remember they had so much stuff set up for us to do every single day. We were going on like a field trip to like, we would go to like Arches for ice cream at night, or we went on like the Brown scavenger hunt or something. So within that first like weekend or so, I really realized that I had found a home and I wasn't just gonna, you know, live in some regular dorm.
So I think Brown really like became my home pretty quickly. I had never really felt like I was a part of a whole lot of communities back at home. Northern Virginia is very competitive and very, I don't know, there's a lot of the same types of people around, and I like never really felt that I fit in a lot of places. And I remember I came to Brown and I was like really excited, but I was like really scared. And so like for the first 2 or so weeks, of my first year, I just kind of stayed in my room and watched Twin Peaks, and like talked to my high school friends on my phone. And then I remembered like one specific instance where I was eating dinner in the Brown dining room, and there were a bunch of people sitting at the long table that people normally sit at. And I was like alone, sitting and like eating my sad salad. And I remember Gabby and Brian, who were my FYLs, NBLs, they were like, "Oh, you should come sit with us." And I thought that was really nice. And I know that's their job, but that stands out to me in my mind.
Technically speaking, when I got billed by UVA, take out your laundry when it's finished. Thank you.
Check out all of the lounges. There's a lot of people who live in Brown, and all kinds of people. And if sitting in Tucker doesn't make you the friends that you're looking for, sitting somewhere else probably will. But if you stay in your room, you're not gonna find them.
Make brown your own. Do your own thing unashamedly. Like, I hate to be like, be yourself, guys. It's gonna be fine. But like, that's what brown is. It's a space where you can really be yourself and just like do the things that you love to do, and people aren't going to shame you for it. Nobody's going to think, they might think you're a little bit weird, but like, they're not going to be mean to you about it. It's a space about personal expression, and I'm really glad that I ended up living here. But I always say that living in Brown is like living in a giant house with all of your friends, and so I'm really just going to miss that kind of tight-knit community where I can just walk into somebody's room and say, hey, what's up, and talk to them, or they'll come into mine. It's so great to be so close to all of the people that you know and love.
True. Thank you, Chris A.
Thank you, Chris A.
We love you.
Yeah, we wouldn't function without Chris A.
This is true. We would be much hungrier than we usually are.
This is true.
Yeah.
We make it memorable, you know. Choose to live. Choose life. Choose life. Drink water. I'm not gonna say go booze. All right, cut it.